Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Me again, Shannon Fox here, Devoted Patriots 2 channel. And just like this guy over here, I'm ready to see some arrests. And I think Trump, as much as a lot of the people in our government and most American citizens that love our country, want to see some prosecutions, some indictments, some subpoenas, some true bills, some real investigations that get some information out there that it's so damning. These people try to flee the country and get snagged up, thrown in jail, and then can't post bond due to the fact they were flight risk. I want to see this type of stuff happen, and I believe it will happen over the next several months. But we've got 4 years of the Democrats trying to stop Trump from everything he's trying to do. But at the same time, as shitty as that is, and we've seen a lot of that stuff go on over the last 2 months, all the injunctions, all the left wing judges going after Trump is really a sorry, horrible thing because it's almost like our hands are tied, waiting on the Supreme Court to decide if these judges have power or jurisdiction to thwart their power over even the presidency. And it's an effed up deal, no doubt about it. But this is the positive to that. Even as much as that happens, Trump's either going to have to ignore them and it's going to become a constitutional crisis and it's going to go to the Supreme Court, or they're basically going to neuter a lot of Trump's ability to get things done because they're going to keep it tied up in the courts for probably about 4 years if they have any say in it. And they'll do that. They'll literally drag these cases out to where Trump has no power to do anything because they're in junction with limbo, or basically that's how it goes. But the light at the end of the tunnel to the situation is the same activist judges that are going after Trump right now. At one point, are going to realize being an activist judge, a an activist DA, a Letitia James type, a Fannie Willis type, a Jack Smith type. If you're one of those types that wants to go after people wrongly for political sway or for whatever your evil intent was, well, it's going to backfire. It's going to come back around, and I believe we're about to see that happening. Mike Davis explains it on more than one podcast today, meaning he's putting the word out there. And I'll bring you a couple things from Mike Davis here directly. That's what I really wanted to talk to y'all about. I believe Mike Davis. I think Mike Benz and Mike Davis and Steve Miller are some of the guys that are in the know when it comes to what's going on behind the scenes, and he's got some direct information as well. But that is our counterpunch to all this lawfare. If we can't fix it, uh, this all this injunction, all these cases, all this suing, all this crap that they're trying to stop, including deportations, which just angers me to the soul. What we can do is we can start indicting people that have wronged our country with weaponization of government, and it's easy to prove. The whole world's seen weaponization of government happen to Trump alone, if not several cases against Christians, uh, anti-abortion activists. Uh, Several different groups were targeted, including political figures, including the man himself, Trump. And we're going to get some prosecutions coming because the investigations have been going on. They're building the cases, and when they get to a point where there's nothing else to see here, it's time somebody to go kick in doors, serve warrants, get these mother effers behind some gray bar motel. I'm ready for this, and I know y'all are too. Trump is ready for this, I believe. I believe the entire Department of Justice, everybody, the new team, all of Trump's new people, his new cabinet, are all on board with deportations, rule of law, arresting the criminals, uh, hunting down the evil that needs to be convicted, including the Epstein list, which is coming. I believe that's coming as well. I believe they're going to redact some of it for certain people. God knows why. I can't even begin to explain that, and they probably won't explain it, but we'll figure all that out in the end. But we're going to get some names. We're going to get some arrests. We're going to get some real uh, oversight, not just talking about it. And let's go ahead and get into a couple videos I got for you from Mike Davis uh, and some other great news happening in the last several days. All right, here we go, folks. Says firebrand attorney Mike Davis, who is Article 3 Project. That's his brainchild as far as a law firm that helps attorneys, helps get people elected, helps get Supreme Court justices into their place. Anybody that we're trying to get confirmed through the Congress and the Senate. This is one of the behind the scenes guys. He does a lot of things. Super smart lawyer, and he definitely knows much about what's going on as possibly even Cash Patel. He says justice is definitely coming after the meeting with Pam Bundy and top DOJ officials. It's on. And we got a couple of confirmations today. So firebrand attorney Mike Davis, founder of the Article 3 Project, joined Steve Bannon on Wednesday to discuss the recent meeting at the Department of Justice with AG Bundy, AG Todd Blanche, Bondi's chief of staff, Chad Mazzell, and incoming number 3, Stanley Woodard. During the interview, Mike Davis delivered a clear message to the American people. Justice is coming. All right, folks, here we go. Bear with me, this thing always
I just had several meetings at the Trump Justice Department. I met with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, the acting number 3, Chad Mizell, and the incoming number 3, Stanley Woodward. And I want to reassure the War Room posse that they are very much on top of what's happening in our country, right? And just because you're not seeing criminal indictments right now does not mean they're not coming. They are very much coming.
I want you to go back to that team because that's pretty impressive. This is not President Trump's first term Justice Department. Walk through who the players are, starting with Pam.
So Pam Bondi is the Attorney General. She is a rock solid constitutionalist. She's bold. She's fearless. She's not being flashy about what she's doing behind the scenes.
Okay.
She is very much doing things behind the scenes.
We love Pam.
Yes.
Okay, who else?
She's great. We have
She's great.
Todd Blanche.
Fabulous.
The Deputy Attorney General.
Took the president on as a client when nobody else would touch it.
And got ostracized for it. Now these law firms are scrambling for Todd's blessing.
Yes.
Now let's just put it that way.
Yes.
And, good luck to those law firms, especially law firms like Perkins Coie. Good luck.
So he's the deputy.
He's the Deputy Attorney General. He runs the day-to-day of the department. Chad Mizell is Pam's chief of staff, who's also the acting number 3, the acting Associate Attorney General.
Is he going to stay? He's doing a great job as chief of staff. Is he going to go to be number 3 and give up chief? He'll stay as chief.
He's staying as chief of staff, which is more important for Chad. It's just more important. Stanley Woodward is going to be the Associate Attorney General once he gets confirmed.
He's moving from the White House.
He's already there.
Over at DOJ.
Yeah, he's counselor to the AG right now.
And he was Navarro's lawyer.
Yeah, he was Stanley Woodward's. Walt Nada's.
Yeah.
Was Stanley Woodward was Walt Nada's attorney, the co-defendant on the presidential records case.
Yeah.
President Trump has a rock-solid team of very good lawyers who are battle-tested, who are loyal to the president and his agenda. They should be.
And the word is from Pam and the team is that, hey, we're not going to screw any of these things up. We don't want to hurry it. Things are happening. Stand by.
Justice is definitely coming. Let me just assure the War Room posse, justice is coming.
Yes.
And there's going to be accountability for this unprecedented Republican lawfare where the Biden Justice Department was politicized and weaponized. There's going to be accountability for a lot of these crimes. It takes time to build these crimes. Cash Patel is there. He's doing a hell of a good job. So is Dan Bongino, his deputy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Justice is coming. So just because we don't see it publicly does not mean it's not happening. I know it's happening.
He knows it's happening. He has no doubt in his mind. He ain't guessing on this stuff. This guy is definitely in the know, and he didn't just say this once. This guy has definitely went out of his way to let it be known. And Here is the exact same interview over here on Twitter, blowing up. And then Benny Johnson, who this is where I learned who Mike Davis was, who Mike Davis is. There's several people that I've learned about in the political sphere: Mike Benz, Mike Davis, uh, several people that are just really not big names in the political sphere as far as being on TV and stuff. They in the last, I guess, year or so, they've come a little more into the light of being on Twitter and doing interviews with bigger podcasters and things. But these are the guys that were behind the scenes helping Trump through the 2016 to 2020, and are now back on the team helping Trump get his people confirmed, fighting still today the Biden administration's policies and so many things. If you don't know, go check out Article 3 Project. They do a lot of good work, investigative work. They sue. They do everything they can, just like the Democrats do with their injunctions and stuff. This guy here is famous for doing just the same thing, trying to stymie anything that we don't want going on in our country that's been going on in the past. But he says justice is coming, and I have to believe him. He hadn't just said this once. He said this more than once today on different podcasts. He's putting it out there that don't be discouraged. The word is it's coming. There he is, him, Bannon, and Benny. All right, folks, here we go. Firing on all cylinders. That's what I'm talking about. All right, folks, hold on. I'm having sound issues. All right, so several meetings with.
What did you learn on the DOJ this week?
It was a very productive week. I've gone over to the DOJ and the White House several times during my vice reign here in D.C. And I would say this: there are a lot of people who are concerned about what Pam Bondi is doing or not doing at the DOJ. I think the Epstein stuff got her tripped up. I would just say to your audience, justice is coming. I promise you, justice is coming. I went and met with the Attorney General Pam Bondi one-on-one. I met with her team in the Attorney General's office. I met with Todd Blanche. I met with Emil Bove. Todd Blanche is the Deputy Attorney General. I met with Emil Bove, who is his number two, the number two to the number two, the most powerful unknown position in the government. I met with Chad Mizell, the acting number three, and Pam's chief of staff. I met with Stanley Woodward. I met with Gail Slater. Harmeet Dillon's over there. Kash Patel's over there. Dan Bongino's over there. They're starting to fire on all cylinders. I promise you this. This is normal during a startup phase as you're getting people confirmed and staffed up. You're not going to have immediate results, but they've gotten a lot accomplished already publicly, for example.
Yes.
Just firing a lot of the deep state, getting rid of these bad actors, chasing them out of the Southern District of New York, chasing them out of Main Justice. They've closed a lot of these cases. They're opening cases. They're working on this. And I promise you that justice is coming. They're working with the FBI. They're working with these other law enforcement agencies. They're working with these agency heads. They're working with the DOJ leadership. Justice is definitely coming. I know it's coming.
Now, let me say something to you folks. This is something I picked up on a while back. Government entities like the DEA, the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, they're all very compartmentalized for their own security reasons. The FBI doesn't share information with the CIA, and that's a problem because a lot of times they're working the same case information about the same suspects, and it would actually be more efficient and more productive to share the intel, like Interpol, something like that. But our government doesn't do that. Our government has had a habit of compartmentalizing every say the FBI agency doesn't just compartmentalize against all other agencies, but against other branches of the FBI in other locations. And so everything is so sectored off, so governmentalized, that the information isn't able to flow and things are not able to work properly. That's why it's so easy for the corruption, for one boss to be a really horrible person and do horrible things and get away with it because not too many people are in his circle. And that is what is going on from the get go when it comes to a lot of these agencies, including the FBI and the CIA. No accountability whatsoever. I'm not just talking about funds, but the way they act, and it's because they don't kiss and tell about anything. Well, that is all changing, and now because everybody, all these heads of all these agencies are now on the same team. They're all on Team Trump. They're all Trump appointees. We're now in a situation where if a story about, say, Epstein or something popped up at the FBI, well, it was compartmentalized in the past, and they could just squish it, make it go away. They could hold on to it. They could hide it. They could say, nothing to see here. Ongoing investigation. Can't talk about it to anybody, not even our other colleagues. That's the way they kill cases, make them cold cases. They've done it since the beginning. Well, that's not possible anymore with the Trump administration because when the Trump administration comes in, and I don't care if it's about Epstein's, the illegals, any particular case, if it's something big news, something needs more than one agency to be involved to do it right. Maybe it needs ICE, maybe it needs DHS, maybe it needs Homeland Department or Border Patrol, maybe it needs those three, and maybe a FBI and a CIA element as well. And so they five tag team on the problem. That's the way it works now with an efficient government. That's the way it's supposed to work. You can't hide stuff like that. Like right now with what's going on with all these investigations, it's not just FBI investigations or CIA or DOJ. It's all of the above. When there's a case about, say, a politician, we find out they're doing bribery, and then they're doing this, and then they were hanging out with Epstein. Well, you could give all that to the FBI and let them compartmentalize it and squish it if they wanted to, and hide part of the evidence and tell the people and the president only what they want them to know. But that's not the plan anymore. Now the plan is we're investigating it. Can y'all help us investigate it? Is there anything you can do with your department to look into the other things that we know are violations as well, so that way we can come at them from every direction with all the criminality, all the violations, all the evidence we need, so we can hit them hard from several directions because we work together, like Interpol does and Europol does in Europe. It's actually the best system available when you communicate to fix the problem. And that's what we got going on. So the Epstein cases, um, the weaponization of government, the stolen election, all these things that we want people to go to jail for, they're active investigations, and none of them are compartmentalized to just the CIA, FBI, the DOJ. No, 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 no. This is a group effort, task force to fix the problem, whatever the next case is. It's happening, folks. It's coming. There will be no more let's slide it under the rug and hope no other agency realizes what we just did. That's over. So we are going to win this. They're going to battle Trump for the next 4 years in court, just like they tried to put him in jail. They're going to try to neuter him as far as his policies. Part of the plan, folks. That's what they're going to do. That's all the Democrats have at this point. But hopefully, soon enough, there won't be enough of them in power to do the right damage. Maybe we'll get some of these activists out of there. Maybe Trump will defy them, and we'll have to have a Supreme Court ruling on it before it's over. I don't know, but I do believe we're going to win because we are already winning. We won the election. We got 4 years of making them eat crow, and all they've got is to try to sabotage the situation because they are no longer on equal field playing field. Uh, we have took the House, the Senate, the popular vote, executive branch. We're coming on strong, and I'm glad to see it. I'm so glad to see it. And what Mike Davis said, I believe him. I don't believe our government, our newly elected government, would go to all this trouble to not do a damn thing when it comes to prosecution. Why investigate if you're not going to prosecute? I understand Congress does it for brownie points and donations and campaign fortitude, but no, no, no. These are actual agencies, and that's what they do for a living. They kick indoors and lock people up in theory. Dick Durbin, who is one of the worst Democrats there ever was, by far is the smartest and most effective Democrat senator, says Article 3 Project Mike Davis. He is a political savage who comes across as Midwest reasonable. Big loss for the Senate Democrats, losing Dick Durbin, with unhinged partisan Sheldon Whitehouse taking over Senate Judiciary Democrats. So the breaking story is, if you have not heard, folks, is number two spot in the Senate for the Democrats is Dick Durbin. Well, he is now retiring. Yeah, he's like Chuck Schumer's younger brother. I don't know, but or evil twin. I don't know how you would call that. But Dick Durbin said he's not going to run again in 2026. So here next year will be his last time to stand for Congress and hate on Trump. And we are so happy for it. I've reported on this guy a couple, 2 or 3 times in the past, and I can honestly say I do not find myself wanting to report on this guy because he's just another crazy loony lefty like Chuck Schumer. He just gets out there and says the craziest of things, and just from their conversation, they're corrupt. But I'll give him no more props other than the day he is gone. I'll say, thank you, Jesus. There's got to be somebody better than this guy. I think just about any Democrat you could put in that position to fill his shoes would be better because they're probably not as sinister, experienced, and like Mike Davis said, as much of a savage as this guy is. He's obviously wicked smart when you can whip the party, whip the Senate into the direction you want them to go, right or wrong, one of those things. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's going to be gone. I'm glad he is only going to be around to mouth a few more times before Congress, and then we won't see him no more. And hopefully they'll get a better choice in there. Maybe somebody that's a little more towards the middle, because this guy's avid Trump hater. He had that TDS, like TDS Simplex 4. He had it bad, Mr. Dick Durbin. I heard him many a day screaming about Trump. Now, this here I thought was a really, really cool, uh, had to share kind of post. It says removing 11 million dead people off of Social Security stops an incredible amount of fraud. You hear that, folks? 11 million people. And it stops election fraud, too. That's the bonus. Amazing work done by Doge. Doge did not just find the problem. It says for the past 7 weeks at Social Security has been ex- executing a major cleanup of their records. Approximately 11 million number holders, all listed ages 120, have now been marked deceased after 1.4 million to go, with expected completion in 2 weeks. So 7 days in, 2 weeks to go. So a 3 week process to knock out all 11 million so far, knocked out of the voter rolls. I love it. I love it. That's the good stuff, folks. Knocked out of the voter rolls. No longer have to send payments to a fictitious dead guy. Just so glad to see it. There's some numbers for you, folks. They found the waste, fraud, and abuse, canceled it, and are now saving all this money and securing the elections by not having them on the voter rolls anymore. Hopefully they will fix this in every state as well. Now, here is a great story. I thought this was just kind of heartwarming. I thought it was the coolest, and it's a little bit funny. To be honest with you, it's a wounded veteran. He's got prosthetic legs. Asked President Trump to sign his prosthetic leg when Trump asked him what one of his stickers says in the Oval Office. You won't believe the response, folks. This is so good. All right, folks. Let me make sure we're right in the center over here. Yeah, we can go with that. Good enough. All right. So good. Check this out. Come on now. Don't spool on me.
Who's that picture on there?
That is Joe Biden, and it says, "Let's go, Brandon."
I'm saying, what was that picture? That's great.
I told him he wasn't allowed to ask you to sign it.
That's very good. Well, thank you all very much.
He did actually sign it for him. Trump, he took his leg off. He handed Trump the cast or the prosthetic, and Trump signs it over Biden's face, over his mouth. And his statement says says Biden never really said much. Says when a wounded vet asked Trump to sign his prosthetic leg, he didn't just sign it. He sealed it right over "Let's go, Brandon," right over Joe Biden's mouth on the sticker. And Trump says this marker permanent. It'll be there forever. I thought that was too cool, folks. Another great moment in history brought to you by Donald J. Trump. Now, this is a crazy story. I don't know if this is a setup, a spin doctor, a way to try to manipulate his words. Maybe they're trying to bury the hatchet. I don't know. This is a weird scenario. But James Woods, the actor who is very conservative, very outspoken, says, "You're walking into a viper's nest. They will degrade you, ridicule you, and lie about you once again. Mark my words." That's his advice to Trump when Trump tweeted out the words, "Later today, I will be meeting with, of all people, Jeff Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic. Boo! And the person responsible for many fictional stories about me. Oh, yeah, they created a lot of the hoaxes, including the made up hoax on Suckers and Losers. Remember that one? The Charlottesville thing. And Signalgate, something he was somewhat more successful with. Jeffrey is bringing with him Michael Schreier and Ashley Parker, not exactly pro Trump writers, either, to put it mildly, obviously, to the reporters. This story they are writing, they have told my representatives, will be entitled "The Most Consequential President of This Century." Says, "I'm doing this interview out of courtesy and as a compet- comp- competition to myself, just to see if it is possible for the Atlantic to be truthful. Are they capable of writing a fair story about Trump? This way I look for this way I look at it. What can be so bad? I won. I think it'll be great for him to do this." At first, I thought, "Oh, this is a bad idea," but if they take and just try to axe murder this thing by asking him shitty questions and do the whole gotcha thing, most consequential president in president's history, is that because he's so great? Because we know he is, or is it? You better be careful. There's a Trump out there looking to take your rights away. I bet that's how they'll spin it. They're going to try. The title is almost clickbaity already. Makes you think, oh, maybe they got something good to say about Trump, and then it's going to be most likely, my opinion, just like James Woods' opinion, it's a setup. It's a trap. It's a trap. But Trump, he's fearless. He don't mind. Maybe he will not fall into the trap, but have such great answers they can't do much with it. I'd love to be a fly on the wall before they edit that video. Now, if I don't know if I told y'all the other day or not, but the White House press page on X and on YouTube has launched the Story of America series. The shot heard around the world, Lexington and Concord. That's the second part of the Story of America. It's going to be a 3-part series, documentary style stuff. You can watch it on YouTube. Just go to White House channel, whitehouse.gov on YouTube. They have some things like the Easter egg roll, things like that. Some video footage. Excuse me, kind of like what Trump's got on his Trump on his official Donald J. Trump channel. But this one has got some political histories of America that I thought was very informative, if nothing else, folks. Very patriotic and very informative. And I just want to let everybody know that. Go check it out right here on YouTube, White House. Just type in White House at the top of YouTube, and you'll see the little White House logo, black and white, with the building. Go there, and they've got, I think, about 3 different documentaries, 2 full documentaries and 1 a little short one. But that's what I got for you today, folks. Hopefully, everybody enjoy, like, subscribe, and share. And come check me out this weekend. We're going to do it big for the homeless, uh, like we do every weekend. But this week has already started out to going to be a huge blessing for all those folks. I love it. I love it. Like, subscribe, and share. Over and out.